You're listening to a special edition of the Just Go Bike podcast. That's AKA Murph.
And that's AP. And this is the podcast where we talk about cycling just for the fun of it. With tales from all over the nation, come for the bikes, stay for the fun, and leave with a smile.
On this special edition, we are going to provide you with daily tales from the trail as we ride our bikes across the state of Iowa as part of the 18th annual RAGBRAI Route Inspection Team.
And here we are. We have finished day one of the Route Inspection Ride.
Yes, we sure did. And congratulations.
You too. I hope we sound very energetic and perky. Typically, after we ride all day, we start our daily blog of podcasting when we're still in our bike gear, but we showered. We look fresh. We smell good, right?
I mean, and you can't see Murph right now, but she's actually wearing her Just Go Bike shirt. So, more power to you.
Yeah, I am actually, yeah. Okay, so today, today is Sunday.
Yep.
And do you want to say a little bit about our stats?
Sure. So today we rode 70.1 miles and we had 3,497 feet of climb. And on RAGBRAI, when this ride happens, we'll be celebrating the Mile of Silence and Throwback Jersey Day.
Yes. And what's interesting about today, we started in Sioux City, and we'll go through each of the communities, but between Sioux City and Storm Lake, there were really only 3 communities that we stopped in.
That's right. Yeah.
I said this to somebody else on our group earlier, that for people who maybe haven't been to Iowa before or only come during RAGBRAI, today is the day that they are going to get the full effect of rural Iowa.
That's right. And one thing I was thinking about when we first started biking today was, sometimes you just kind of forget how beautiful Iowa truly is.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And how gorgeous those rolling hills really are. So let's back it up though. And we started in Sioux City this morning, one of my very favorite towns to start in. And in fact, RAGBRAI has started in Sioux City 10 times.
Oh, wow.
Including the very first RAGBRAI.
Yes. Okay, so a few of us early this morning tried to recreate a photo of, is it Karis and Call, both?
Uh-huh, yeah.
So we'll see how that turns out. Actually, one of the Des Moines reporters was like, you guys, here's the railroad track that they were standing at. Yeah. I think it was the second RAGBRAI, correct? Or was it the first?
It was the first.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So listeners, take a look at social media either in the next couple days, hopefully, or maybe it'll be in a Des Moines Register article. But
yeah, it was exciting. Pretty cool experience. I hope the photo turned out. We almost got hit by a car, so it better be worth it.
It better be worth it.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
So just a little bit about Sioux City. When we have day 0 in Sioux City the day before we all start biking, the RAGBRAI Expo will be at the Tyson Event Center, and it's going to be really fun. It's going to be really cool. It's always a nice venue for the expo because there's a lot of room there, and they're used to putting on events.
And super secret, there may be a little Just Go Bike bonus that day.
That's right. You come find Murph and myself on the day 0 of RAGBRAI, and you'll have a little surprise.
I agree.
So
okay, what else do you have?
After the expo, the band for Sioux City is going to be the Spin Doctors.
Oh, yes.
So that'll be really fun. I originally thought that they were like a disco band, so I was delightfully surprised to learn what they really were.
Oh, my gosh. I'm too tired to actually sing one of their songs, but...
Anyway, okay, so Sioux City is named after the Dakota Sioux Native Americans who lived in the area.
Oh.
And as you may remember from our Sergeant Bluff podcast last year, I'd be really impressed if you did remember me saying that, but Lewis and Clark passed through. They are the first documented U.S. citizens to pass through this area in 1804, and I bet it was hot because it was August.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah.
Huh.
So that was... Sioux City, back in those days, a little bit later in the 1850s, was a major entry point into the Western Plains by Mormons, gold speculators, and other settlers. So that'll be all I say about Sioux City so far, but it's going to be a good time.
Except there's also the Missouri River.
Oh, no, Missouri River.
So this will be a year when we get to dip at both rivers.
Yeah, in fact, we had dinner next to the Missouri River last night.
Yeah.
And then we dipped our tires this morning. So we had a lot of Missouri River experience, and it was really cool.
Beautiful. Yeah. Yeah. It was beautiful.
Especially on a historic ride like RAGBRAI 50, you really love having actual dip site, easy access, safe access. So
Yeah, yeah.
I encourage you to start your real ride there.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so our first stretch was very lengthy
It was
for
lengthy.
the first stretch of
Yes.
RAGBRAI, 29.3 miles.
Yeah.
And we ended up in Kingsley. I have how to describe the route into Kingsley.
Okay.
Rollers and gradual climbs. Many rollers and lots of gradual climbs.
I'm laughing because that's true.
It is so true.
Yeah.
And remember, it's 3,500 feet of climb today. And we're going to, at the very end of this podcast, give you 2 reports, a crop report and
Okay.
a hill report. So we'll
Yep.
get into hills a little bit more in
Yep.
a second.
Yeah. And my one thought beyond what we've already said about our trip into Kingsley, about 20 miles in, I'm like, I had a big breakfast. I'm feeling good. Like, I think I can do this whole 20 miles without stopping. And then I got really hungry right after that point. So I just wanted to say, make sure that if you don't plan on stopping between Sioux City and Kingsley, make sure you bring a protein bar or something goody in your bike bag.
Yes. And chances are very high that there'll be plenty of vendors along the road. You know
Yes,
what
I
mean?
agree.
So-
I'm not sure. I just don't know for sure. But
Right.
I'm sure that there'll be all sorts of breakfast vendors along the way.
right.
And in Kingsley waiting for you.
Yep. And a side note, we are podcasting from the lobby of our hotel. So if you're hearing some background noise, it's okay.
Yes, apologies for that.
Yes,
But,
apologies. So
everyone's just having fun. There's a water park here.
yes.
So,
yes.
okay.
But
So-
I did make a note that when we got to Kingsley, in theory, about half of the climbing was complete. So, but we'll get into that a
Yeah,
little bit.
I believe that. Yep. Okay. So then this will be our 5th visit to Kingsley.
Ah.
And Kingsley is known for their black squirrels, which I wish I would have remembered before we got there because I didn't look.
I did not see a black squirrel, but
Yeah. So
Oh.
it's kind of cool. They were originally known as the village of Corn and I wrote that down because I love saying corn. They're named after the corn hunt in England, and it was later relocated 1 mile to what is now known as Kingsley because the railroad didn't go through Corn, and every business except for a mill was located. And I got that fun fact from the Iowa Bike Towns book by Eugene Schlaman.
Eugene,
Yeah.
which we have an episode with him if
Yes.
people are really interested in Iowa facts.
Yes.
So in Kingsley, not only did we find a bar that opened a little early for us.
But I had a fantastic experience in Kingsley.
Oh, yes. We met a guy named Rick Bowl. I think it's Bowl or Bowley. Sorry, Rick, if you're listening. And he was amazing. So
Yeah.
I have something I want to say about him, but I think you have
Well,
a thing that
absolutely.
you love to talk about.
That's right. So this was my first experience getting my photo with a fire truck for the pre-ride this year.
Yeah.
And as listeners may remember, it's my obsession to try to get my picture with fire trucks along the pre-ride, to get to see the firehouses, tour the firehouses. And he was kind enough to let us into the firehouse and check out what they had.
Yep, and it was a all volunteer fire station, and there were so many vehicles in there. I was really impressed.
Yes, it's crazy. It was packed with fire trucks. He showed us all around. I got to get my picture sitting in the driver's seat of one of them. I mean, it's so generous of these volunteers to let us in on their own time and let us look around the fire station and really enjoy it. So look on the social media for me sitting in the fire truck. But thank you so much, Rick. And I wanted to add that while we were on our way into the fire station, we saw the Freedom Rock, which is in Kingsley.
It's in the same parking lot
Yes.
as the fire station, and Rick was the man who hauled the rock from wherever he found it. I think he said somewhere within the county, and he's the one that moved it to its home now.
Yeah. And I mean, this rock is gigantic because what you see on the surface, it's like an iceberg. He said there were 4 feet of
4
rock
feet, yeah.
underneath the ground,
Yeah.
stabilizing it.
And I did write down how many pounds it was. Did you remember?
I would like to guess 4,000 pounds.
18,000 pounds.
I wasn't even close.
18,000. And it's beautiful. Like all 4 sides, it's kind of a square almost.
Yeah.
And all 4 sides have honors. They're honoring veterans of, some are alive, some have passed.
Yep.
But it's really a neat experience.
Yep, including some from the Civil War, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah. The
And-
other thing I really liked about Kingsley was that it has where people park their cars in the middle of the road.
Oh, yeah.
So when you think of, when real RAGBRAI comes through, it'll be such a cool big open space, you
Yeah.
know, or maybe that's where the tractors will park, you know, have bike parking. But I just love it when that area is all wide open.
Yeah, it's so cool. So to wrap up talking about Kingsley, I got a quote again from Iowa Bike Towns that says, in celebration of the town's centennial, Ronald Reagan wrote, "The spirit which has built and sustained your community reflects the energy which has forged America into a land of wonder."
Ooh.
And I will say, after getting to sit in that fire truck, it was a land of wonder.
I had a great time, and yeah, we got to give a shout out to Rick again.
Yeah, he was so cool.
Hopefully, we tried to show him how to listen to a podcast, so hopefully he is tuning in and happy that we're giving him a shout out.
Yeah, and I just can't say enough times how incredible it is that it's all volunteer, and in fact, several of Rick's family members also were volunteering
That's
at
right.
the fire department,
Yes.
and it's just so neat to hear about stuff like that.
Yep, and they actually, we have one more thing, I guess. They got funding to purchase the land right across from where the current space is, so they're going to be building an even bigger structure, and then they'll use the current space for like different events. So
Yeah.
he was really excited about that. And they have, because I asked him, I go, are you going to try and raise money during RAGBRAI for that? And he said, we actually already have the funding. So
Yeah.
maybe they'll be raising money for, new equipment or something like that.
Yeah, but I encourage you to go check out the Freedom Rock and the fire trucks regardless.
Yes,
Yeah.
for sure. Okay, so from Kingsley, we had about 14 miles into Washta.
Washta is the meeting town for today. And this will be our 6th visit to Washta. So somewhere in there, we snuck in an extra visit on Kingsley.
Oh,
So,
okay. All right.
Washta was named when a resident named Wisman recalled a story about meeting Native Americans from the area. They met him while he was hunting, and he examined his rifle, and they said Washta, meaning good. So Washta means good.
Okay. Are
Yeah.
we saying it right? Is it Washta? Washta?
Well, I've only ever heard anyone say Washta, but I guess it could be Washta.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope it's Washta.
Yeah.
We're sorry if anyone from Washta is listening and it's wrong. My notes from going into Washta, many more rollers, but when you get to a extremely beautiful long downhill, it basically takes you right into town. And I
Yes.
did note that I got up to 36 miles an hour.
Yeah, I
So-
went pretty fast going in.
Yeah.
But as seasoned RAGBRAI riders will know, that usually when you ride a huge hill down into a town, it means you have to climb out, but not the case
Not
today.
true. I know.
So
Yeah.
it was delightful in that way.
Yes, so Washta is known as the coldest community in Iowa. And you and I both know this, but let me just ask you anyway.
Okay.
I know the year was 1912. How cold was it that year?
-47.
That's unreal.
That's like Arctic.
Yes,
Well,
totally.
it wasn't -47 today, I can say
It
that.
certainly wasn't.
No.
No, and people were so friendly. We had such a good time in there, like a community center.
Yeah.
Very, very nice.
I mean, we were straight up goofing. There was a rotary phone that we pretended to
Oh,
call
yes,
people.
that's
tried to
right.
call people on. And
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
They also have a payphone on the side of their communications building, so that was kind of neat, and it was working.
Wow.
So yeah. So if you got to call home,
There's probably people that have never seen a payphone.
well,
maybe.
this could be your chance.
I don't know.
Yeah. So Washta will be sure to have all sorts of food and drink, and they do have a fire station. Unfortunately, it's also volunteer, and so nobody was able to come today.
Right,
But-
right. But from there, 5.5 miles to Quimby.
Quimby.
And I have good things to say about Quimby, and I know you do too.
It's going to be hard to get me to shut up about Quimby. They are known for their watermelon days.
Which is coming up if you happen to be in the Quimby area, June 24th. It's called Watermelon Days, and it takes place at the Quimby Fire Station.
Oh, and that's where we stopped today, so you know I had a good time. The two gentlemen, the fire chief and his son, showed us around, and I majorly failed by not asking them what their names were.
Yes.
So F+ on this, my job. But I got to check out the coolest fire truck that I have seen in a long time. It was a fully modified. It started its life as an Army vehicle, and they modified it into a specialty fire truck that fights grass fires, like out on the prairie. So it was long and low, and there were actually two of them, but I got to take a ride in one of them around the block. And
I was enjoying my strawberry rhubarb pie with ice cream, homemade, and I heard a honk honk from a fire truck, and we all look up and went, I bet AP's out there.
Yeah.
And sure enough, you were.
Yep. It had, in fact, not only does it have a horn, it's kind of like a semi-truck driver horn. So you go like the honk honk motion, but you can the driver and the passenger can honk it at the same time.
Ooh, very good.
I know. So it was very cool. So it was really cool to drive around in that. And they also have some historic fire trucks. They also have some more traditional fire trucks. One fun fact that I learned in this fire station was that they keep all the trucks filled with water, which is massively heavy.
Right.
But they said that it took 3.5 minutes to fill up a fire truck from a fire hydrant, and they don't have 3.5 minutes to waste when they're fighting fires.
All right.
So the other thing to say is that if you are a firefighter or you know someone, they have a program where if you bring your patch from your department, they have patches to trade. So they're interested in doing that. So yeah, be sure to bring your patch, firefighters, or tell your friends.
Yes.
So on the actual RAGBRAI, they will have a full bar at the fire station as well as a band.
Okay, good.
So,
and hopefully, we had the strawberry rhubarb. I don't know if rhubarb will still be good at the end of July, but there's going to be pie.
Oh, surely.
I mean, it's RAGBRAI. Of course there's going to be pie.
And I had a delightful slice of watermelon.
Yes. Oh, that's right. We did have some watermelon as well. And back to the Quimby watermelon days, if you happen to be there, I did see a poster on the wall that said there was free watermelon at 8 p.m.
8 p.m.
So
Sharp.
Be there 8 p.m.
Yeah. The other thing about Quimby as we were going out of town, there were 2 little miniature buildings. Very, very cute. Awesome photo opportunity. Our director, Matt Phippen, said that no one actually knows what they're for or what they are
and
of.
how they got there.
Yeah, so I thought that was really cool, but they are obviously something.
Yeah.
But they're very cute.
Yeah,
so.
great photo op. So, okay, so from there, it's another longer stretch, 22 miles, and that brings us into Storm Lake.
Storm Lake. This will be our 7th visit to Storm Lake. We were meant to have visited here in 2020, but we're delayed by the pandemic.
Oh, sure.
So it's sort of like a return to form, a redemption arc. We're glad to be here. We love Storm Lake. Everybody loves Storm Lake.
Oh my gosh. And the final few miles coming in, you are riding right along the lake. So it's just beautiful. They've done so much to make it pedestrian friendly and lots of parks. And actually, while we're recording, we're looking out these huge windows at the water. It's just so beautiful.
I saw a giant fish jump in the water just a minute ago.
What?
Yeah, I know.
Wow.
So that was pretty cool.
All right.
There are even rental bikes here are at the hotel, and there's a path all the way around the lake, so you should have some fun recreation opportunities.
Yes.
Storm Lake is home to Buena Vista University, which was founded in 1891.
Wow.
So if you think about that, that was only 90 years or so after Lewis and Clark came in. They didn't waste any time.
Right.
So they founded that university right away. And more currently, the band for the Storm Lake is the Spasmatics.
Yes.
Yeah. So super pumped about that. Love that band. If you don't know the Spasmatics, they're sort of a nerdy 80s band.
Yeah.
So,
intentionally
nerdy.
Yes.
And
80s.
It's just super fun.
Yes. Okay. Well, before we wrap up day 1 of the RAGBRAI inspection ride, do you want to do your hill report?
Yeah, it was brutal. No, I'm kidding. They were rollers.
But here's what I enjoyed about when you and I were riding together is you have a fancy computer that tells you how many hills. I don't know if it's accurate, but do you want to tell the listeners at least what your computer said?
Yes, and I don't have the exact. I think my elevation number was very, very close to the one that was said on the map, but it said that we had 22 hills to ride.
Okay.
It was close to accurate. I mean, of course, it's never exact.
Right.
But it said I finished my hills just outside of Quimby, and then we had a little bit of a ride into Storm Lake. So there were maybe a couple more smaller, less intense hills. There was really only one hill today where I was like, ugh. The rest of the hills were nice rollers. So just be sure to train on hills. Yeah. Get your hill time in, which I didn't. And I think that's why I suffered a little bit today. But
we have, 50 days, 40 days? Or you have over a month to kind of, get your mindset. And I would agree, there really weren't any hills that, I needed to really grind it out.
Right.
Like it was more just long, just kind of relentless, a few of them. But the thing about hills is whenever you get to the top, you typically get to go down.
A really nice downhill. Yeah.
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 So
and I was talking to my mom about it where I said, that wasn't easy today, but I think that I felt good, and I think that it will translate into a really awesome time as we get into more hills later in the week.
Sure.
I think I'm going to benefit from that a lot. So get your pain in, get your hills in, and get going into the good part. I mean, it was all good part. It wasn't that bad. I'm making it sound.
No, it wasn't.
I need dinner.
We need to eat.
Yeah. So but it really wasn't that bad. I would say the hills aren't anything that a newbie couldn't conquer.
Correct.
Yeah, not by a long shot. Just gear down and you get ready to go.
Well, and don't be afraid to go slow.
Yeah, don't be
You know what I
afraid to
mean?
go slow. Yeah,
Yeah.
no one cares how fast or slow you go.
No. So,
The one other thing I wanted to say is that it was windy today. I know we don't necessarily always talk about the weather, but I have a new bike. It's a light bike. So even I, as someone who is very experienced, had trouble riding on a line today.
yeah.
So I just encourage you, new rider, veteran rider, to experienced rider, to practice riding on a line in windy conditions, because it's going to be much busier on RAGBRAI, and it'll be safe, it'll be fine, but everything's always easier if you practice a little bit ahead of time.
Yep. And one more note about like the actual terrain. That's why we're here doing, one of the reasons why we're here doing this inspection ride is we have people that are actually documenting, any sort of road hazards. And I felt for the most part, it was actually very pleasant.
Oh, the roads were fantastic today on the whole. Yeah.
Yes. So I think that'll be a great first day for us.
Maybe even only one set of rumbles.
I think you're right. Yeah.
So, all right, let's transition to not the road, but what we saw alongside the road. Will you give us the crop report?
The crop report. So, listeners may not know this, or maybe you do. I'm 5'3", so I don't know if many people are 5'3", or understand how short I am.
You pack a lot into your size.
But I will say, crop report. Soybeans are maybe ankle high. Okay. Corn is another story. So here's what's interesting. Like, I grew up always hearing, that the corn will be knee high by the 4th of July.
Yeah,
and if it's knee high by the 4th of July, then that's when it's a good crop.
Everything's
right?
doing good, yeah.
Okay, so now fast forward to 2023. Maybe it's because of genetically modified, or maybe chemicals, or maybe just farmers have increased, who knows what it is. But the corn was knee high today.
Yeah.
Remember, I'm short, but it was knee high.
Yeah.
So we'll continue giving a hill report and a crop report as the week goes on.
Yeah.
And maybe you don't care because when you come through on RAGBRAI, it will be above your head. But there was no opportunity to use the corn as a restroom.
No, but I think it's a good indicator for what to expect on the ride.
Yeah.
Everything, all the plants, and it's going to be really beautiful. Everything's growing really well, and just something to look forward to. So we'll try to keep it brief, but down to the stuff that you want to know, that people want to know.
That's right. All right. Well, thanks for tuning in. And I think you already know this, but we're going to do an episode every single day. So tomorrow's day 2. You're going to be ready?
I am more than ready. I am going to have a huge dinner tonight and just conquer the world tomorrow.
Woohoo.
Yeah. As we head into Carroll.
Sounds good. Well, listeners, that is it for this week. We both want to thank you for tuning in to listen to the Just Go Bike podcast.
And if you'd like to contact us with a comment about the podcast, or maybe you have a topic in mind, you can reach us at justgobikepodcast@gmail.com, or you can also follow us on social media at Just Go Bike on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Please rate, review, and subscribe to this podcast, especially if you're a fan. And if you have any extra time, pop on over to the Murphology podcast for more bike adventure interviews.
All right, that's a wrap. We'll be back next week. Until then, just go bike!